Show and Tell Boston After Dark. I'm here with my co-host.
Most generous.
And for those who don't know, can you introduce yourself?
HAAWWS, recording artist from Roxbury, Massachusetts.
So for people who don't know, can you just tell us about your musical background and what you do?
Yeah, for those who don't know, recording artist, a multidisciplinary artist, but primarily I focus on recording arts, and that's usually hip hop and R&B, unless I'm songwriting and some other stuff. But I guess how I got my start, you ask, or just kind of the background. The background, I feel like I have a super creative, artistic background, but it's something I kind of like. I guess I moved away from coming up early on, just kind of like what I was into, kind of what my interests were. I fell into sports, and, once you start hooping out here in our city, that can kind of, take up a lot of your schedule. So I felt like music and creativity, or just art in specific, was something I kind of fell back into more recently. But I feel like I came up with a very, strong artistic background, was definitely into, playing musical instruments early on, played the djembe, was in piano lessons, did all type of dance, did step. But it's just something. Yeah. I was in a step group. I was in a step group very early on. We did a lot of performances. We traveled. That's why it's interesting to where I'm at now in my journey artistically, because just a lot of full circle moments. So haven't been on stage in a while, but looking forward to that in the very near future. But I feel like I had a very strong, or I would say a very fond upbringing when it came to arts. That's something my mother pushed for, but just naturally growing up a young black male, you kind of gravitate towards your friends gravitate towards too.
What age range was that? What age did you start your artistic journey, and then you started transitioning?
I would say since infancy, she was pushing everything. My mother would push everything, and it was just more so use your creativity. Her being an educator, she tried to foster my creativity as much as possible, but being an only child, it was when I move on from something, she wouldn't force. She was never one to force. So if it's that's no longer my interest, okay, let's expose him to something else and see if this is something that he's interested in. And it kind of just, when it got to basketball or sports, because I started in soccer before, as a youth, you play everything. You kind of just play everything. So when it got to basketball and I kind of settled into that, she was just okay, this is his focus. How can I, help maintain that and keep him focused on this, and help him grow in this space. But I kind of got out, that kind of got old, and, I kind of just ventured out and was able to not necessarily develop my own thoughts, because I've definitely always been an individual, but more so taking a new approach or having a newfound perspective on what it is to be an artist and what that could look like for me. So that's kind of when I made that transition back into the arts, I would say.
When did you make that transition back, in the 20s, 18?
Yeah, I would say it's interesting you said 2018. I would say around 2018 is where I really fully dived in and said this is what I was going to do full time. But I started to make the transition around 2015, honestly.
Okay.
I was leaving high school. Originally, I went to Madison Park High.
Nice.
Before transferring over to English High School. And it was just during that transition process, I was leaving a lot of old friends behind, just a lot of old experiences. And a lot of people I love, but a lot of those individuals were the reasons why I didn't necessarily take certain chances artistically, and kind of was reluctant to explore. Just as an artist, I've always felt that innately. I have some insatiable desire to explore, and I feel like all artists do. There's just something about the unknown that we kind of want to walk in towards. But coming up, I would say between the ages of maybe 13 to 16, or I would say, maybe 12 to 16, while I was hooping, because a lot of my friends were doing other things outside of basketball. When I wasn't playing basketball, that's kind of what I was getting caught up in. And, unbeknownst to us, we had so much life to live, but people were going to not be here. People were going to, go away. People were going to die. So it's just while we're doing all these things, who is going to kind of decide they're going to choose something that they're going to want to focus on for the rest of their life, and kind of just step up and be a leader amongst all the mischievousness that we're kind of getting ourselves caught up in. And that's that didn't settle in for me until I decided to make a transfer and really move myself outside of that friend group to really understand okay, this is something I want to do for myself, opposed to the homies, don't really feel like rap is the cool thing to do. Arts is not really something that we're all into. Should this be something I speak up to be like, oh, I'm into this, or like, what do you guys think about this? Or should I just like, kind of continue to play it cool and just hoop, since that's kind of what everybody's doing, and and so I kind of just went with that until it just got like, you get to a point where it's like you kind of have to be yourself, because in a world where everyone's trying to be somebody else, it's just like you don't want to get caught up in that. And that always made me feel uncomfortable. So it's just like, okay, when that transition came, when I had to make a decision to like, for the betterment of myself, like what I was going to be doing for my future, it was just like, I might as well just take on this artistry too. So come over to this next school not an entirely different person, but just in a different approach. So during that transition, when I transferred to English, I kind of got off of basketball completely. Like I walked in like, nah, I don't even do that. I end up still doing it, but like that wasn't my approach. And I feel like that's kind of what helped me lead to where I am now. Because it's just like standing in and now, like, nah, I'm focused on my artistry now. Like, yeah, basketball, athletics is a part of my past. It's a part of my journey, part of the story. But like, I got to stand in what I believe and what I kind of want to do, opposed to like what's cool or just the easiest thing to do because it's most accessible. I mean, but arts and accessibility in Boston is another conversation for another time.
Yeah, that. And you say multidisciplinary. What does that exactly mean?
Just different disciplines. Like, I would say primary is recording arts. I also do photography, some mixed media in there, and then I'm a visual artist as well. Like, I like to really call myself a visual artist because I'm really big on just cinematography, videography. Producing all my work. Even when it comes to live performances and stuff like that, while I haven't been on stages in years, it's just like what that looks like, what that'll feel like, what that experience will be like. I'm very big on visual, but I would just say it's multidisciplinary because it's just multiple different disciplines that I, reside in.
And you do film, or?
Yeah, I do film as well. Most of the stuff is personal projects. I will take on stuff that like I'm interested in. If it's an artist, I feel like, oh, I heard this song, or this could be dope, or if they reach out and I feel like, it makes sense, I'll take it on, because video work, filming can be a lot. I'm not big on being on set. 86 hours. It's not. It's not my vibe. I don't personally partake to that. So if it makes sense, it's definitely something I'm willing to take on. But like, I am a huge cinephile. I'm big on film. So like, I like doing stuff that, just makes sense, and that's dope. And I just like to take my time with it. But I would say, while I am multidisciplinary, the focus really is recording arts and hip hop and R&B, honestly, in all honesty. But I do have to say that I'm multidisciplinary just because I can do other things. It's not outwardly like I'm not, doing things for other people, but if necessary, I need to do something for myself, I have that ability to do so. So I just kind of stand on it.
And is that like, so you said like the self-projects, were those the clips that you have on your YouTube where you're just kind of documenting your lifestyle?
Oh, clips actually is, part of that is, I can't remember if I've actually recorded an episode of clips myself. But like, I have homies, and not as possibility too, because we kind of passed the camera around on that. Was just like, especially in the beginning stages, kind of like before we were crafting Tim's, which we put out in 2021 of November. That was kind of more so like just keeping up with my everyday life, because I kind of run into this, I'm not sure if you guys run into this a lot, where like you'll either have talked to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, or just like, in small talk, when people ask you what you kind of been up to. It's very hard for me to answer that question.
I can relate.
Yeah, just because the days go by like so fast, and I just be having so much going on. So I just felt like, what's a dope and subtle way to update people on kind of like what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So those is like compilations of entire weeks. Sometimes it could have been a day, or sometimes it could have been an entire week, and that's just that's just full clips of what we did that entire week, just compiled and kind of like, I guess, rolled out in a vlog style of way. But it isn't necessarily a vlog, because it's not for anything specific. It's more so just a compilation of content and clips throughout the week, or just over a course of time, or whatever the case may be. And we kind of just roll those out on the YouTube channel. But I think it is a good and a great way to kind of get abreast of what I've been up to and what I've been doing, if you're wondering, or if you don't know, because just to be completely honest, sometimes that can be a very hard question to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a hard question because, All right, so let me set this up. So, So I consider myself like an ambivert, somebody who is like very like in between being an extrovert and an
Okay, I
introvert.
like that. I like that.
You know, so do you believe? So, what would you consider yourself first? Like an introvert or
I
an
would say
introvert?
I'm more introverted, but I can be like, I understand, especially in the business that we're in, you got to be extroverted, and it is to an extent my personality to be outgoing and be super extroverted. But I think I just grown, especially just being a single child growing up, and just understanding you kind of in this business or just in the space of art where you have to give up so much of yourself and share so much. Like I'm becoming mindful of how much I want to keep for myself. So I feel like that's when that introvertiveness kicks in.
Yeah.
That introvert kicks in. It's just like when my social battery starts to run out. But I think for the most part, I'm actually extroverted.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. You admitted it. I don't believe. There's mad people that be saying that they're like introverted, and I was like, dude, I just saw you talk to like 5 people and make 5 friends. You know what I mean?
Bro, but to be honest, man, like you do that out of like a job. Like my instructor in school, right? She told me, yo, a job is basically socializing plus pay. You know what I mean? So it's like depending on what you're doing, how you're feeling, they always tell you, yo, push that shit to the side. Put your dirty laundry don't just leave it at the door. Don't even leave it at the door. Leave it in the dumpster. Or
Like from the jump, or you?
Yeah,
like,
from the
okay.
jump.
When you transition back in,
When I transition back in, I think it's like with anybody that's kind of, it's interesting because I spoke about this with Jared. Jared does a lot of financial stuff with BPS students in school. He works with an organization that works with a lot of students and stuff.
Oh, nice.
But I was talking to him about like how I feel like everyone kind of goes through this creative journey when they go through this arts phase, when they like become creatives, or they like, oh, yo, I'm doing this now, I'm in the arts, or whether they're making music, they're doing anything creative. Everyone goes through that phase, and it's just like after that, the people who kind of stick with it is like, obviously the ones who were actually interested, and then you can kind of make out. So I always treated it like that, and I've paid attention just to, the waves of creatives that we had out here. I feel like for the most part, the community supports you when you first start out. Everyone receives support. But just like anything, we want to see that you're dope to continue to support you. Like, yes, the first couple of efforts, we're just going to show that love, but like we want to see that you're dope. So kind of how have you stepped it up? And I felt like, I feel like me having used that mindset when I first started was what allowed me to kind of just like relieve myself of the pressures of feeling like, oh, someone may not like what I'm doing, or I may not get to support or anything like that. And I did get a lot of support. I remember when I started out with putting music videos out, and visuals are always great because people like to see stuff with what they hear, and those did really well. The engagement was well online. People hit me up, I still to this day, I always that's usually one of the first things people say is like, yo, your visuals. And I like that because I'm appreciative of that.
Yo, they're very trippy too.
Thank you, because
trippy.
we take time to like, craft those treatments out, find and source videographers that are going to be right. And I don't really like to call them videographers, while that's the term most people use, because a lot of the people I work with are cinematographers, and that's what they're passionate to be. And that's kind of why I choose to work with them, because I understand where they're trying to go and take their career as well. So it's just like creating the projects we work on are more like moments in their career to kind of like, I feel like you can ask any either videographer, cinematographer, or a photographer that I've worked with. I'm always trying to push the boundaries and take things to the next level. But to answer your question, I guess I don't really feel like I got any pushback or anybody was concerned or anyone even tried to, discourage me from like saying this is what I was going to do. It wasn't it was like unbeknownst to anybody when I had first dropped, it was like, damn, completely out of the blue. But I felt like when it was like, okay, this is what bro's on, we fuck with this. This is the wave. I can swear on here?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was like, it was like, yeah, we fuck with this. How is him? Say less. But and I kind of just ran with that. I was like, okay. And I just knew, like, with that mindset I spoke on, you kind of just gotta be dope every time, because people will support you in the beginning because we're a community. We want each other to feel like there's people there for them, but you kind of do gotta follow up and be dope. So I just focused on that, and I feel like it's been good.
Yeah.
And so, what was the first time you really felt like you were an artist? Like, how did you start considering yourself an artist?
Well, I'd say there's two moments. Originally, when my mother introduced me to piano. So she introduced me by just buying one.
Oh, what age is that?
This was like, I believe I was 6 at the time.
Oh.
And then immediately after, I had like been introduced to like, well, not introduced. She kind of forced me into taking lessons. It was like, I'm not about to buy this, and you're not about to know how.
Exactly.
You feel me? You're gonna be engaged
You're
with
gonna
it some
learn
way, yeah. So, when the first couple of weeks of that like process, I was being tutored, I guess, in a sense, or just learning how to play the piano, going through classes with a friend of hers that she had teaching me. I fell in love with just art in a sense of how he was breaking things down to me, because this was an older friend of hers, but he was just well versed in life. I felt like he was like, could have definitely been a great life coach outside of everything else he was doing. Big on martial arts, but he just gave me a lot of life gems. And usually people in martial arts are like that, right?
Oh, nice.
Like
Yeah,
they got like that wisdom to them.
Like proverbs.
Yeah, so he just made me appreciate music and artistry and musicians in a different way, to where like I appreciate music. I feel like different from most, and I've been saying this a lot recently too. Like I'm hearing the music differently now. That like that's kind of how much I have an appreciation for it. But I guess fast forward, we'll be in 2015. I can't remember, the days go. I can't remember how old I was in 2015 specifically, but I felt like that was when I really stepped back into it. And it was after a bad studio session.
Yeah.
Bad studio session where the homie was like, yeah, that's not it, bro. I was like, say less. I got work to do. Mind you, I went over two classic joints, two classic beats. I was over the shook ones. And I was over Flavor in Your Ear.
Oh,
The Flavor in Your Ear was the studio was kind of feeling it, but the shook ones wasn't. They was like, yeah, you got some work to do.
Yeah.
So but I respected that, and that's what I also respected about my journey too. I've had the luxury of being around people who was always gonna keep it real.
Like
Okay.
Because
So
they
you
know
know
what I'm
yes
capable
man.
of. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
I just never been around those people in general. So whether I was playing sports and didn't have a great game, whether it was in the classroom and I wasn't on top of what I was supposed to be doing academically,
Yeah.
I had people around me, whether it be my friends or people would be older, or just sometimes associates, because like I'm known for doing what I'm supposed to do. So when people see me off my game, it's usually I'll get a sign or someone will step in and be like, yo, what's up? And it's kind of that redirection, even if it's not like a authoritative conversation or just like trying to really get me to do something. Just sometimes just a small like, oh, hey, how things going has always set me back on a path. So that's been dope.
Hell yeah.
And I could say I'm definitely very grateful to have that have been my experience so far.
Mos, what's that lyric that from one of his songs?
Oh, this Laundry Day is also fire. I love the way it switched up.
Word.
There was this one particular part where you said, I can't believe I got to a point where I could actually be honest with what I can say. Like, when you said that, like, what was you going through, or what did you go through at a time where it was hard for you to be able to express yourself?
I feel like there was a point in time where just like with the accepting of the arts, like coming up with homies, it's like, you want to be a rapper? That's what you want to do? Like, that's corny. Like, the music is corny. Like, entertainment is corny. And to an extent, they're right. It can be, but like, I feel like it's all about the perspective you have and kind of like who you're going to be in entertainment or who you're going to be in show business or anything, like, because any industry can be corny, like, but it's about who you're going to be and how you'll step into that role and
Like, change the scene.
yeah, like how you do what you do. And I felt like that line was a combination of things, but it was more so just like stepping into the artistry and being like, nah, I can be real with you guys and be like, nah, I'm not on what we was doing. This is what I like to do now. This is what I'm about to focus on. But I also think to a relationship aspect as well, both platonically and romantically, just getting to a point where I felt I was comfortable enough and self-aware to know that, I could just speak my mind. I don't have to, I'm self-aware enough to know that there's a specific tone in which things should be delivered. So if I have a message, there's a way that I got to get it across. But like, I'm just not holding back because I don't think that does anything for either party in the situation.
Right.
Not in my experience personally. And I felt like most of the people I know and have conversation with, they can tell that I'm coming from a genuine place. So it's like when HAAWWS says something to you, it's like, it may ruffle some feathers. You may not take it you may not take it the right way, like, from the jump, but you get where I'm coming from, because I'm never going to steer you in the wrong direction. I'm not going to say nothing that I don't mean. I'm not just going to say anything to say it. If I'm speaking to you about it, it's because I really care, and it's because I mean what I say. Because if I most of the time, I don't care about anything, and I won't say anything at all. I'll literally be in the room mute. So I guess that's when that introvert comes in, and I'm less extroverted. But I guess just through the art, through creating the music and being able to express myself more and more in the music, I just got to a point where it's just like, I'm gonna do this in everywhere in life, in all situations. So whether it be in the music, whether it be dealing with someone in a relationship, whether it just be business or professional, whether it be casual conversation, it's easier to keep it real. That's how I feel. A lot of weight off my shoulders. And
it's kind of an artist's job to give their raw thoughts and the honesty all the time.
Yeah, it's something that you should take pride in sharing, because people like your most authentic self. And I feel like when I started to do that, that's kind of what a lot of Not Safe for Work is, my most authentic self. Not to take away anything from Tim's, but that it's crazy because that line is on Tim's, but you kind of get more of that with Not Safe for Work. And it's just standing more into that. And it's I feel like a lot of that and more recent comes from what I'm seeing other artists do, kind of how they're just taking back the integrity in their work, standing on what they mean, not allowing people to kind of move them, and just standing true on what you believe, standing 10 on what you believe. And I think that also opens up the door for more people who truly feel that way, but don't want to necessarily stand up and say so or speak their truth. That helps them. And sometimes you kind of got to go be that person that just kind of goes out into the unknown, to kind of open up that space for other people to come in and, share like they would like to share. But sometimes it may be insecurities. You may not feel like it's a space and time to share it. You may not. Some people feel like they're less than in certain situations, to where they can't share certain things with people. So there's always that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What are some of your favorite collaborations that you've done?
Favorite collabs, a lot of video work. Well, I'll start with this photo work. Marika, she was just nominated for live music photographer. We did a shoot very early on off of Blue Hill Live, and that was a really dope shoot. It was super insightful because we had just met for the first time, but we had a lot of mutuals. And that's usually really dope too when I work for somebody for the first time, but we have so many mutuals.
Oh, you know so-and-so?
Yeah, and they're already familiar with the work. That's always super dope. So I'd say I would say as of right now, I mean, there's a lot of other dope ones too, don't get me wrong, but I would say that's the most memorable. It's the most memorable.
Do you have any collaborations coming up, or?
Yeah, we have some stuff in the works. I wouldn't say I would, drop any, just yet, because we have some stuff that we're working on. But I would say, well, I guess I can say this for music, it would be Tomo and Fuego.
Yo, shout out, yo.
Yeah, off of the Not Safe for Work, off the newest album. It's actually the title track, Not Safe for Work, and SFW. Fuego and Tomo did their thing on there. And that was a last minute call. So shout out to the bros for coming through, blessing the album. And, we just rocking out. But I can't say that I was in studio. I wouldn't, I would be lying if I would sit here and say I was in studio with them. But Fuego did his thing, and Tomo did his thing, sent it in the last minute. But we got it done. I would say for this year, for sure, though, that's one of because I had to get on record with them. They've been doing their thing all year.
Yeah. And tell me about your creative process. When are you the most creative?
When I'm high. But I do definitely smoke a lot of weed. I would say in the mornings, super early in the mornings.
I waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 5 a.m. Some days, depending on how busy the day is gonna be, but I'm usually between 6 and 7.
Okay.
I get a lot of thoughts, but I will, be completely transparent. I'm not like a studio rat. I'm not a person that spends 90 hours in the studio. I don't find my creative space there. But it just depends. I guess it depends. Right now, I guess as an artist, I'm in my abstract. So it's
define that.
Is it like a plateau?
It's not like a plateau. Yeah. I'm not even familiar with plateaus. But I feel I guess it's an obscure way to explain how I don't necessarily know what it is that I'm working on all the time, if that makes any sense. I'm starting to create from a sense of urgency and intuition, opposed to ideas coming from my brain and me wanting to execute on an idea. So creating from a feeling standpoint opposed to what you normally would do, like, oh, this is dope or this is dope, let me put these, and then you kind of, and opposed to that, so just kind of just going what I feel.
Is that like sporadic and chaotic a little bit?
It can be, but I feel like that's what has been most helpful to this process and kind of where I'm at right now in my artistic practice, opposed to like me trying to be super analytical and stuff like that, like I would normally do in the past. And I can just see the difference in results opposed to like, you know, what we did with Tim's and like kind of where we're at when Not Safe for Work. A different creative approach has kind of allowed me to not only see things different, but bear different results as well.
But does that work process make it hard for you to like, so you say you don't set goals, or you said you're not some person that works toward a goal all the time? You just kind of wake up
not necessarily goals, but more so like, say for an idea, like thinking so long on an idea opposed to just going whatever my gut feeling is inside the studio. Now when it comes to other stuff, like maybe as far as visuals, where it comes to rollouts and different things like that, of course we're a lot more logical in that sense, but I feel like with the music, as of recent, I've been more practical to like just kind of go with what I feel and do that, not even focus too much on like making sure, oh, is this line right? Does this work here? Like just overdoing it and more so focusing on the feel. And I think that's a testament to Tomo and Fuego again, to kind of just like how they create in their process of like just going with feeling what feels right. But also those guys produce as well.
Yeah.
Unlike myself, I do not produce. Like I just pick the beats and I rap over them. But just kind of taking and emulating that into my creative process, I think it's been super helpful, and it's kind of what has led me to this place of like being in an abstract in a sense.
Yeah. I feel like that makes it more organic as well. If you're just like, I'm feeling like this, let me just write this, and that's what it is. I feel like it's more organic and raw.
Yeah, you get to, there's a lot to pull from when you're just going based off of your emotions, opposed to like, okay, I'm going to create these ideas because I've seen them work somewhere else, or this is something I thought that could possibly work. Because now you're trying to, like you're pulling from something that's not already there. Whereas if you just come from your feelings, you know what you're feeling in that moment. If it doesn't work, you just don't use it. But I feel like when we kind of try to craft out these ideas and sit long periods of times trying to figure out something that's going to work, you get lost in the creative and it doesn't become fun. And I want to do this. I want to make sure that this is as fun as possible because it's what's supposed to be fun. Like, you know, it's like we're coming off the awards, you know, last night was great.
That was
everything is just like this. The entire thing is supposed to be fun. So when it starts to feel like work, you kind of got to take a step back. You got to look at your social battery. Where are you at? And because when it gets like that for me, I can't do it. I'm not going to say I can't do it no more, but I definitely have to take a hiatus and, you know, just kind of focus on myself and get right.
Actually, I didn't go. How was that? How was the Boston Awards?
It was a beautiful experience. My first time at Big Night Live. It was lit. I would say for my first time there, the venue was not as big as I thought it was going to be. From what I've seen as far as like social media, when I've seen other artists perform there.
The catfish, dude.
Yeah, it was a bit of a catfish. The stage was not as large as I thought it was. I'm not going to lie. But Ed was on the sound from Phoenix Down. Shout out to Ed. The live sound was definitely sounding good. Key did her thing. Had a hell of a performance. Took the award home, you know. Who else?
Steph. I forgot it. I say the name. You know what I'm talking about.
Who?
Steph, I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Oh, Stephon Theft.
Stephon Theft, yeah.
He did his thing.
He was awesome.
I feel like all the performances were great. They brought out some people to speak, to accept the awards, understanding it, and getting on stages. I would say, let's like fuck all that other shit. We trying to get on some stages. We trying to perform. We want to do it right. We want to bring something special to the city though, like so that it's not like to discredit anything that anybody else has done, but just to do things differently. Like I can't be on my album talking about this is no regular shit and you know do some regular shit. So, you know, I'll definitely say 2023, Q2, definitely looking to get some performances, get some experiences. Experiences is probably the best word to use.
I was gonna ask because you said you haven't performed on stage in it for a while.
Yeah.
So do you think you're gonna have stage fright?
To be honest with you, I'm unfamiliar with that. Only because like I don't feel like I've ever been a stranger to the spotlight. Just being a single child, the type of mom I have. Yeah, if she tell you to dance,
You gonna dance.
you going. And I was just like, that was me like coming up. Like I didn't shy away from that, like being the center of attention. I didn't always. That's not something like I naturally want, and like that's what I'm trying to do. But if needs be, if the vibe is down, and someone needs to pull us up, I'm usually that guy. So it's just like stage fright. I don't see that being a thing for me. I do think that I will be nervous. And I'll probably be a little bit anxious, but more so like an excitement.
Yeah.
Like I really want to get out here and give you guys the best show that you've ever seen. Like for real. And like make sure you leave with something, leave feeling something, because I don't just do this for no reason. I don't get on stage for no reason. We're not gonna have you come out for no reason. You know, quarter two, it still might be snow on the ground in quarter two.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to have you come out for no reason. We want to give you an experience. We want to give you a show. So I would say I'll probably be a little bit anxious, but you know, or I would say excited is a better word to use. But nah, I don't think I get any stage fright.
What's a song that you're like kind of excited to perform when you start?
I would say,
and why?
Not Safe for Work, the title track, only because it has a feature, obviously, with Tomo and Fuego, but because of the energy of the record as well. Not even just speaking on to what I'm saying on the record, but just the energy of it, how I know it's going to play out live, and how people will feel just being able to hear those 808s come out that live sound. Yeah, it's going to be a different experience. And I know they do their thing performing live too. So just to be able to share the stage with them and have that moment with the music blaring through the speakers. Yeah, that's I feel like that's what I'm waiting for. That's that moment.
That's like a big high. Like I miss performing, you know, because people don't like me. But anyways, like, I love, bro. Anyways, like I love, bro. That high when you're performing, bro. It's nothing like it when they were like, even when they're like, how you say, like, when they're repeating
word
the
for
lyrics.
word.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I never know that feeling, but like that right there is like I don't know, like that's just some like
I know I get what you mean by the level of how you're speaking of. It's definitely a feeling like none other. But also just like remembering even in those moments to continue to connect with the crowd and make sure that they're experiencing something. So, but I would say outside of the feature record, maybe Garden of Truth. I know like that's a lot of people's favorite. For me, I feel like I'm definitely taking verse of the. We don't have a category for that at the Boston Music Awards, but if we did for rap verse of the year, I feel like that's definitely taking rap verse of the year.
Nice.
That would be fire.
Yeah,
rap verse of the year.
But more so just because of like what I'm talking about on that record, I really stand on that 10 toes when I feel like that's the best verse to come out of New England. Massachusetts, matter of fact. I'll stand on that, you know.
Tell me about that message that you're saying.
I feel like just everything that I'm speaking like about on that record, from the title of the record, what I'm talking about from start to finish, who produced it, where it's sequenced at in the project, where we're at in the world. Like however you want to take it, it's multi-layered. The album's multi-layered, but that track in specific, like if you really take the time to analyze and break down some of the lyrics on the album, but more so that track in specific, I think you kind of get the message is kind of clear. But I guess to sum it up, like the last line, full of faith and free of fears. I feel like a lot of times people are out here, you know, they're on their journey, but sometimes we don't have faith in what it is that we're doing because there's just so much uncertainty. And I feel like you kind of got to be full of faith and free of fear. You kind of just got to walk by faith. We can't, you know, you got to be your spirituality, the strength in your spirituality has to be the same, I feel like, in your personality, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And also, like, one of the important components to that is purpose. Everybody has purpose. Everybody has purpose. Yeah, I mean, even, I don't want to go into it, but, like, having purpose is deep enough, because when you have a purpose, that's, like, something that wakes you up in the morning, like, not, I have to do this. It's like, I feel like this is my calling. I feel like this is something that I must do.
Yeah.
Like this music thing, like I feel like it's my calling. You know, this is my purpose, and there could be other purposes outside of producing music. You know, but other than that, like me, like this is something that I love, and when you love something, it's like by default.
Yeah.
Like there's the purpose in there.
Yeah,
you know,
and shouldn't anything get in the way of that too? I feel like that's more so what those two lines speak to. Is just like if you're gonna be full of faith and free of fear, just can't nothing get in the way of what you plan on achieving. There shouldn't be anything that gets in the way of that, regardless of how you feel. Because we have to remember that most of the times things are temporary, and everything is temporary. So if you're going through bad times, if you're going through a rough time, that's going to pass. The same way if you're going through the greatest time in your life, that is also going to pass.
Exactly.
And I feel like when people find that understanding and really settle in with that, because we'll have people that say like, life is ups and downs, but how much do we, like that whole thing about like, people will give out advice that they don't use for themselves. I feel like I've moved away from that. Moved away from giving out so much advice and more so focusing on myself, that self-awareness, that understanding of what it is that I want. And me doing that, I found myself in less situations where I'm giving people advice that I'm not using for myself. And just kind of using that advice that I would be giving out. Not just because I've not found myself in recent situations where I had to give advice to people, but more so just thinking about that. Like if I did come across someone who was going through this is probably what I would say to them, because this is how it helped me.
Yeah.
And just being able to equip myself with that when I do come across those people or those situations where I can't share, I make that information readily available. But I think it's just more so focusing on what I can do for myself, and just like honing in on that is what kind of keeps me from, you know, all of the white noise, because there's a lot of white noise that goes around us and you can get distracted, and that's kind of when that fear will start to seep in. Can I do this? You're looking at all the extras when you should just really be focused on what it is that you're doing. Be strong, and you just really got to be strong in your belief about what it is you're doing. I can't stress that enough. But I feel like when I adopted that, it was just like the world is your oyster, right?
Yeah, when he said that giving advice that you wouldn't take yourself, that just instantly reminded me of like single women who give advice to people with relationships.
Oh shit!
Single women, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
Let's
it.
fucking go.
Single women that give advice to people with relationships.
Should you take it?
I mean, has she been in a relationship?
A good one?
Yeah, but it didn't work out if she's still single.
I mean, yes, because how I would look at that is like, advice is still advice. Where like whether someone's actually utilizing the advice that they're giving out doesn't make it bad or not. It's just like, you know, they're not being proactive on the stuff that they're, like, you know, they're not doing what they're preaching, and so that doesn't necessarily mean that the advice can't be useful. So I guess I would have to play it by ear and kind of depending on who the individual is. But maybe it could be a way to avoid how to not run into an issue, not run into issues with my relationship, or run into a situation where I'm no longer in a relationship, like, you know, the woman who happens to be single that's giving me advice. So there could be some, you know, some stuff that you can pull for that type of conversation. I can't say that I've ran into that in my personal experience, though.
Yeah. I just find it to be maybe like unreliable when they're like, break up with that nigga. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well.
I mean, well, what did the nigga do?
You know?
Yeah, a lot of times it'd be like, well, what did he do? Because single women do be giving some good advice sometimes. You can't sleep. You know, I know a lot of single women with some great advice. I can't say that they always take their own advice, but...
Well, advice in general is different. I was talking about specifically relationship advice.
Yeah. I feel that.
Like, would you take relationship advice from your boy who's always been a bachelor? Aha! You're just trying to protect our women.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it depends on where I'm at in my life.
Say, bro, break up with her.
Because you're asking me a very specific question. You're asking me, would I take the advice? Would I take it? Yeah. Would I use it?
Well, hearing somebody else is not taking their advice.
Okay.
Yeah, you just listen to what they said.
Okay.
That's not really taking their advice.
So let's
Because you only take it when you actually apply it to like
Okay, I see.
the situation or the dilemma.
Will they get you tight? If your girl or whoever you're dating, talked to their ex and didn't tell you.
To be completely honest, because I don't care about so much, like, nah. Like, because me dealing with you, I'm going to know whether or not you would step out or, like, how far that conversation would go. So I'm already, since I have that level of understanding, you having a conversation with anybody, it's like, it's just a conversation. Now, if y'all, depending on what the type of conversation it is, I may, and I find out I become the rest of it, I may feel some type of way, depending on what you guys are talking about. But if it's just like a regular conversation because a guy is setting up a woman, it's just like that naturally happens. Like there's going to be situations where your woman may have to work with somebody she's dealt with. So it's just like I kind of like try to keep that mindset about it so that you don't get caught up, because you don't want to do that with any woman, but you definitely don't want to do that with no black woman.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If you're in a room full of people, right, and you're interacting with all these people, and you're with your partner, and there's people there that they had sexual relationships with, is that person obligated to tell you about who those people are?
No, we grown. I don't even want to know none of that.
Even though the dude's like dapping you up, he's like, yeah. In his head, he's like, yeah, smash that.
Yeah, in his head. Yeah. Like, look what you said, in his head. Because if he said it out loud, then we smash him. So, but I mean, like, you can't like really. If you're really gonna call yourself maturing, growing up, like all this stuff we claim to do, all this self-development, you cannot be upset about stuff like that. You shouldn't even think about it. You love her, she love you. Rock out.
That's a test too. That because that whole thing, that tells you a lot about yourself, how you react to the situation.
You hit it right on the nail.
Wait, are you in a relationship right now?
No, I'm not in a relationship right now.
Okay. What's the longest you've been in one? We're digging now.
The longest I've been in a relationship, I would say, like, in a relationship, like 4 years, technically. But it was a little bit off and on, so probably longer. But technically, probably 4 years.
Did you ever come across some of those themes?
Yeah. Yeah, very early on, too, when you're a young male, full of testosterone, adrenaline,
you were the jealous type?
Nah, that's how I was never a jealous type too. Okay. And that's another thing. It's like it's a very, I don't know if I would consider it a gray space or like a thin line or just like a very vague area when it comes to like black women, because there's a balance in between not being jealous, but you can't not care too much.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like
they don't like the nonchalant.
Yeah, they don't like the nonchalant. I don't want to be nonchalant for my woman. I want her to know that that I do care. But then there's some stuff I just really don't be caring about, and it's just like you can't because I'm not that type of individual. I'm not going to. But I'm also brought up a little bit differently. So the things that most people care about when it comes to those things, as far as being with a woman, man and woman in a relationship.
Yeah,
I just naturally don't. So there's always that, but I don't think in my past it was something that I ran into a lot outside of like those high school years, like, just being in high school and then kind of like the school's only but so big, the city's only but so big. Of course, if you only had one other boyfriend before me, it's a possibility at some point we're going to be in the same room.
Yeah.
And I just so happened to be prom night. But, it is what it is. It's cool.
Yeah.
We vibed out. I dapped, bro.
You dapped him up?
I dapped him up.
Yeah.
I even told him his shoes is nice. Feel me? I keep it real.
Yo, you gotta kill with kindness sometimes, bro.
I was really keeping it real. His shoes was actually nice. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel like that's something I got caught up in. But I think I was, blessed to be in a situation where I wasn't dealing with someone who just had a lot of priors. So
when you think about like your ideal partner, are you looking for another artist? Are you looking for a creative? Are you looking for a traditional woman? What are you looking for?
It's a great question.
You gotta be careful what you wish for, though.
I think a balance between, what is a traditional woman, before I answer this question?
Well, actually, we had a show before this. They said that they're like more on the conservative side. They want to like some maybe want to be housewives. cook, clean, the whole 50s American woman type shit.
Like let the man take control.
Brady Bunch type stuff, you know.
Oh, okay.
Like the white picket fence.
Okay, okay. Let me be careful how I answer this question.
They're watching.
Yeah, they definitely are watching. And to all the black women out there, all across the diaspora, I love you all deeply, bottom of my heart. I want to make sure that's known.
You about to violate y'all.
Ideal. I feel like would be creative in a sense, like have a creative sense. You don't necessarily have to be a creative, but like have a knack for creativity, so that we have some type of commonality. But definitely want there to be differences because this, you know, that adds spice. A little spice is always nice.
Little arguments help.
I don't know if I'm there with that anymore. That's not the type of spice. That's I'm more of a. That's a Cajun spice. I'm more of a pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice.
You feel me? More of a pumpkin spice. Like let's sweeten it up. But yeah, I feel like outside of the little bit of spice and knack for creativity, it's more so like what you're putting me onto. Like outside of like your interests. Like what are some of the things? I'm a little wavy. Wow. What are some of the things that like you're putting me onto that I can like not learn from, but just learn more about you, like deeper into? Because I feel like you're always learning about your partner.
Yeah.
You that doesn't stop. So I do wish a lot of us would move around away from the notions like I want to fully learn. You're never gonna fully learn the person that you're with. It's just not possible because they're continuing to grow.
Oh yeah. There we go.
If you fully learn them, that
right
means
there.
that they're not growing no more. And do you want to be with someone who's not growing? So it's just like, I feel like that being my focus is kind of would make up my ideal if I had an ideal. But I'm more of a people pleaser too. So like, if I come with someone who doesn't necessarily have everything that I want, but it's like I truly love you, like, I'm gonna be with you 100% till the wheels fall off.
So you said creative
with a little bit of spice. And she's got to have some dope interests.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got to have some dope interests.
That's the pyramid.
The three pillars. I guess she got to be fly, too. She got to be a little fly. She got to be a little fly.
Like goal-oriented.
Yeah, I feel like that comes with... I feel like the goals... Being goal-oriented for a black woman is just like... That's second nature, though, to be totally honest.
That is true.
Like, in my experience, I know very few black women that have been around that haven't been on top of everything they need to be on
they
top
go
of.
ham.
So it's just like and I use black women because preferably that's kind of what I'm into.
Gotcha.
But for all women, majority of the time, the ones that I've been able to be around and experience, whether it be in a casual setting or a professional setting, have always been on top of the things that they need to be on top of. So goal oriented is just like goes without saying. I feel like.
You know what I found makes black women exotic? If they can swim, because niggas don't swim.
Oh shit!
I'm sorry.
Yo, now that's why I love y'all, because the shit that y'all be saying is wild, crazy. Yo,
that's the only reason why I criticized the Little Mermaid. I was like, why'd they make it black?
I'm trying to hear
Niggas
you
don't
out,
swim?
but then I'm seeing the visual in my head. I'm like, yeah, where's bro going with this? And then you just threw him in the water. It's like, okay.
That's the only reason I criticized Little Mermaid. I was like, they made her black, but I was like, but niggas don't swim. Like, you know what I mean? It kind of ruined the immersion for me.
Nah, that is true. I didn't think about that. They definitely did make her black. And we do not be nowhere near no water. Nah. But I guess this is about opening up our horizons. Now I feel like people go to that premiere and they rethink, maybe I will go to the Y and dip my toe in the water.
Yeah. A little nigga, like, you got a child, like, little nigga, you're going to learn how to swim.
Yeah. I feel like there are going to be a lot of young black girls out there that see that film and want to go be a mermaid. And maybe that will encourage them to, want to swim, take on swimming, being one with the water. So that could be extremely dope. Sure. Like the snowball effect could be extremely dope.
Actually, let me walk that back. Somalia is next to the water. Actually, Somalia has pirates. Okay. Somalian pirates. So they should have made the Little Mermaid Somalian.
Wait, no.
Okay. I'm not sure I could have seen that one, but Okay, I can see it. To be honest with you, I've never even seen the original Little Mermaid.
Really? Well, dude, what's your childhood?
Toy Story.
Toy Story. Oh, okay.
Yo,
Okay.
that's
Good.
Yeah.
Yo, they're making that movie into a meme every time I go on Twitter, bro.
Oh, the Toy Story?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Because was it Lightyear?
Oh.
I don't know. I didn't know what the meme is.
Okay.
Nah, those
I'm not surprised.
there's one where it's like, wait, hold up, he might be cooking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know
Where
what you're
Woody,
talking
he's
about.
like,
Yeah. Nah, Toy Story got a lot of dope moments. I was more of a Pixar than Disney.
Yeah. Pixar goes hard.
yeah, I like
Pixar than
Pixar.
Disney.
Actually, outside of music and art, what are some of your interests that like generally people who like listen to and follow you wouldn't kind of really know?
Please say anime.
I think film. I spoke about it earlier, but like me being like a cinephile, like I don't think the average person knows that. You know, on a random Tuesday, if I'm not doing anything, HAAWWS may be catching a matinee at your local theater. You know, like literally, very randomly, you could probably see me leaving the movies on a Tuesday.
Really?
Any given Tuesday. Yeah, just very early. If you catch me, you definitely got lucky because you're not going to really just normally catch me. But, like, it's a possibility.
What's the theater that you go to so we can catch you?
Good one. But, I mean, outside of, like, film and movies, I'm huge on podcasts. It's like I'm big on you guys. On a lot of other podcasts out here as well. And just on a national spectrum. Damn, it's crazy to I can't really say it's still kind of art related. It's museums.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, like I be on museum hunts now, like going to different ones, even if they're smaller ones or just like galleries, smaller galleries.
Yeah.
Like I like to support artists.
Yeah, you got to put me on.
All mediums. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to put me on. I need to go to some museums.
Yeah, there's a lot of museums that are dope in New York. Obviously the ones that everyone knows of, like the MoMA, the Met. But then there's smaller galleries and then just museums like in Harlem and in Brooklyn and stuff like that are super dope. There are a lot of talented artists coming out of those museums and have a lot of great work up and stuff in there.
Have you only been to the ones in Boston and New York, or are you planning on going more?
I've been to museums in Washington, museums in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, museums in I guess you would consider like the Wax Museum a museum, right? Yeah, so they have that stuff. The Sex Museum.
Oh, they have a sex museum?
Yeah, they have a sex
Is that just
museum.
like Kama Sutra type stuff, or what goes on
Kama
there?
Sutra. If you know, you know. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they got that exhibit in there. I can't say that I've seen that. I feel like it's just more like toys, the history of like the adult entertainment industry and stuff.
Oh, like
like
toys, like a bunch of like dildos and shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what's a double standard? Like women can have sex toys, but if I had one, you know, like that's gonna
That's where we're
X
going.
out vagina for the rest of my life.
Okay. I guess it depends on how you look at it and the type of woman you're dealing with.
She's like, if she's really kinky, like really freaky, like on some like shades of gray type shit.
Yeah.
You gonna have to do whatever you gotta do to keep her, bro.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like this double standard. Because if I went to my homegirl's house and I saw a dildo, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's just a dildo or something like that. And if I went to my boy's house, I saw like a fleshlight or a sex doll, I would be like, bro, I can't talk to you anymore.
Okay. I see the dynamic. I see how the visual changes the dynamic. I see how it changes the dynamic. What if it's a little bit more subtle, like, you know, one of those pocket things?
Pocket thing?
The pocket pussy? Oh, shit.
I feel like I've seen that on Instagram.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you should just keep that in his pocket. If it fell out of his pocket, I'd be like, bro, what's that?
Yo, how do you even use it? Is there like a fucking...
I'm not giving you a tutorial.
Nah,
I don't even know.
I think it comes with a guide. I'm pretty sure it comes with a guide.
Yeah, I guess like I guess I feel you when you say that, like, you know, you rather the double standard, because that experience could be a little bit traumatizing for me. I walk in and see a life-size sex doll on the couch.
You go to put your jacket away in his closet, and he's like, no, don't go in there. And like a whole sex doll just falls out on you.
Yeah. I'm not sure how. I'd probably start laughing so hard, Like, cause you be knowing when the homies is on some different shit. Like, yo, what you been on over here? Why the candles lit in here? Why is it dark? What you had going on before I came over here, bro? I interrupted something, but it is what it is. Can't blame nobody.
I can. But on that note, we're gonna take a small break and we'll be right back.
Word.
I put in the work, feel like a messiah. Oh, see, you ain't been to church. I was on the curb, used to play the bird. First I had to work, I was so conceited. I put myself on the shirt, always knew my worth. Guess it really worked. Niggas out here ballin', put them pussy boys to work. Gave him as the work, show him how it worked. Now he worth a million, damn, I guess it really worked. Feel like a magician, every mood I made it so I get to this position. Niggas always say, don't know why these niggas trippin'. Beat me up like Scotty, but I might keep when I hit it. I'ma touch a Billy, you know, I'ma get it. Don't say that you with me, then it's time and you ain't with it. I don't talk to niggas who get labels a percentage. Send my shit to UMG, I'm fully independent. Used to have the dope, shit was whiter than the chins. You keep drinking activists, it's fucking up your liver. Mom made me a plate like I'm so coming home for dinner. Cold like it's the winter, cold like it's the summer. I live out the sprinter, I can't tell the time, all I know is fucking get it. She ain't worth the dime, and I knew that when I did it. Messing with my spirit, now I feel the curse. Now it's when I try, cause I think it's got me hot, and I feel like fucking going off. Niggas got me going off, niggas got me. Niggas got me going off, niggas got me going off. Niggas got me going off, niggas got me. This shit ain't rehearsed. Take some off the top and we gon' put that boy to work. Pull up to your show, you got me staring at the merch. Can't believe you selling shit for more than what it's worth. I can't be coerced, put the money first. Heard you tryna play me, we gon' hit you where it hurts. I pay for the hearse and then I show up to the service. They thought we was cool until I pop and now they nervous. Now it's quiet, y'all was screaming beat, but now y'all going on a diet. Niggas know me lit, they know I'm down to start a riot. Broken with the I got the grease, we by the frame. Yeah, we by the frame, that one for the tribe, yeah. Maple Cheney, I'm hoes, nigga know where I reside, yeah. Put that on the guys, yeah, tell them niggas slide, yeah. I've been on the app ever since I learned to drive, yeah. That was 705, why I gotta
Show and tell Boston After Dark, part 2 with the homie HAAWWS.
Yo, what's up?
How do you feel about Boston culture right now?
Boston culture.
Or what is Boston culture? How would you describe it? How's the scene?
Okay, I thought he was talking about the Instagram page.
Oh, yeah, how do you feel about the Instagram page?
How do I feel about the Instagram page?
I do wonder who runs that, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, how I feel about the city's culture, though, I feel like we're in a good space. I feel like there's a lot of good energy in the air. There's a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of dope things going on. And there's variety. I think that's what's super important to note. There's so much. So even if something isn't for you, there's something out there that, you know, you can go and make yourself acquainted with. So I think I would say that's what I feel. I like the amount of variety that there is. I would say things are diverse too, because the content that people are putting out is extremely different on all fronts. But to say the least, definitely the variety that the scene is bringing right now.
What's the most complaints we get about Boston when we ask this question? Say Boston's cliquey.
Yeah, definitely. Boston. They would say that Boston's cliquey.
You think that? You think Boston's cliquey?
I mean, I feel like in our community, we just have a way to be that way. And I feel like you guys know what I mean by our community. Like, we just have a sense to kind of be that way. But in my experience, yes, I would say there is a little bit of clickiness. But, I mean, I guess I guess it's what do you want to take from the scene? And that's kind of how I look at it. And then I'll take my approach and, and move, how I move with that being the case.
I'm asking because, like, I'm not a musical artist. Like, I'm like, so I came up as a videographer, artist, doing films and shit like that. So, like, I don't see the lens through a, what a musical artist would feel.
Yeah.
Like, people always welcome me because everyone wants to be behind the fucking camera.
Yeah, type shit.
You know what I mean?
It's definitely okay. So do you feel like, in that sense, just ask a cool question, do you feel like you don't experience that because most of the relationships are transactional? Or it's just like they're just needing you for a service, so you don't have to worry about all that extra stuff?
It would probably be both transactional service, and it's like, well, everyone needs to be like seen. Yeah, you know what I mean, because so it's good for branding.
There's no way to get around it. Type.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess in that sense, I do see for for musical artists or performing artists, it can be a little bit, but I think that's a little bit just. I feel like in every scene, people just want to be around those who are experienced or that's really putting the work in, or they feel like they're putting the work in. Or on the other hand, or the other end of that, is more so like you want to be around people who are like-minded or just your friends, so you just feel super comfortable with them. And both things are okay. I just think it depends on what you're looking for in your artistry, where you're looking to go. Because like obviously we spoke about off camera, the co-creation of things and people being collaborative. So if you're someone who's going to be collaborative, you can't be cliquey. But if you're someone who is just like, cool with being in your circle and just a super recluse or maybe be extremely introverted and you don't really delve outside of that, that's totally okay as well. But I feel like I do see a lot of cliquey culture here, but I feel like that's breaking up only because a lot of people are doing dope things and people are wanting to collaborate with each other more, opposed to in the past, we didn't know. You didn't know. I feel like artists didn't know how to approach each other, whether it be like, oh, let's get in the studio, or like, yo, can you pull up to my video shoot, or like just all of the. There's just like there's a nuance in being an artist, and there's soft skills that you need. That I feel like we all need as professionals, but we kind of lack in our community. But we more so lack that as artists, especially performing artists. So just sometimes it creates barriers in communication, which cause these cliques to kind of form, and that's why you kind of have that cliquey culture. But I feel like we're fleeting that. We're in a good position. The future's bright for Boston culture for sure.
Making strides.
Yeah.
What you were talking to us off camera too about so we were talking about the co-creation of things, and describe that for us.
Co-creation. So just like when people are coming together to work on one thing, and kind of like what that looks like. I feel like there's a lot of dope artists here who've been out the helm of creating space for artists to co-create, collaborate, work on ideas, and just get to know each other. Like, how we, there's networking on all fronts. There's all different types of forms of networking, and sometimes these spaces that are created for collaboration or co-creation are just different ways to network and get to know one another. Excuse me, I'm a little sauce right now. Saucy. But to get to know one another and kind of just build. So I think that's been super dope, and there's been a lot of great artists who've been behind, kind of the architects behind creating these spaces for us to come together, and what that kind of looks like. A few that come to mind, Rob, Devo, Clark. Rob's a manager, but it just, creatives being at the helm of creating these spaces for other musical artists or just creatives in general to kind of come in and figure out how can we work and how can we connect and do something together. So those are three, just to say the least.
What are some of your favorite artist events that happen in Boston?
Artist events that happen about when people put together their own shows. Those are extremely dope because I always get the opportunity to be put onto new artists. I would say artist events. This year I didn't get a chance to go, but I heard they did this installation down in Seaport, Hipstery. Yeah, they're dope. I like a lot of the stuff that they do. Cliff Notes is over there.
Yeah.
Cliff's fire. I didn't get a chance to attend the installation while it was up, or the exhibition while it was up, but that was super dope. I'd say my answer for that is more like visual arts related.
Okay.
When it comes to arts events, I feel like
you're a
our
museum
city
guy.
and the culture for that. Yeah, I like that. I definitely am a museum guy. But I feel like our culture when it comes to public art and, you know, exhibits, exhibitions, working with the museum or what the city does when they work with visual artists or mural artists, I feel like there's a lot of attention towards that, and a lot of the events are greater in that space, and I enjoy those more than I do the musical events. That's not to say that I don't enjoy the musical events. I feel like I enjoy that a little bit more. It's a lot more engaging, community, like Pro Black's the Dewey Square revealing of his mural in Dewey Square. That was extremely dope to be at, because it brought a lot of us together, a lot of different creatives together, but for something so monumental, and for us to be represented in a place that, you know, we don't normally, there's not a lot of representation of us down there. So that was extremely dope. I would say, so I guess I would say like more mural revealings.
Yeah.
I would say, to be specific, mural revealings. Those are the best arts events that the city of Boston puts together, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
And do you consider yourself? So I know you're an artist, but we were talking about delusional artists off camera. Like, what is that?
Delusional artists.
Would you consider yourself a delusional artist?
The
Or is that a negative term?
I don't. I feel like there's a few ways you can look at it. The homie Clark said you kind of got to be a little bit delusional with this shit, which to an extent I understand. Like, I get it, but then there's a point where you're kind of off the ledge, and then there's the point of no return.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of the times what we're running into. But like, I don't feel like it's much for me to speak on, like, in other people's cases, but from what I see, I guess to answer your question, what I feel like a delusional artist would be in the negative sense, someone who's just like unaware of the reality, like unaware of where they're really at, and kind of either living off this past or living in a sense of what they think might happen, and are not really, you know, making any effort to create the situation that they want to be in. And it's more so just like everything is in their head, but nothing has yet to be manifest or put in, but they have these dreams and aspirations. And then where you can kind of see the disillusion or the delusion is where it's like how they move and how they kind of carry it. And it's just like, it's interesting to see, because like I said off camera, it's a growing space, so you can kind of tell who's delusional for good and who's kind of just out of it.
Delusional, yeah. Delusional.
Yeah. Delusional.
Yeah, I've ran into a lot of delusional people. I actually had to cut a lot of delusional artists off. And it's really hard too, because it's like, when you're an artist, you know, there's just a certain inclination that somebody has, you know, that where it's like, damn, like, I really empathize with you, but it's like, that's not the way, bro. And, you know, but it's like, they're so inner, shit, like, no, this is exactly what it is. I'm like, I hear you, bro.
You just gotta let them have it.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to segue into like the state of like music today. Like, do you believe that hip hop or R&B, well, R&B is dead?
Yeah, hip hop can't be dead. That's crazy.
Nah,
Yeah.
hip hop's like there's a lot of things I can say about hip hop.
Yeah, hip hop is everlasting. I feel like R&B is everlasting because all this shit pulls from soul. It all pulls from soul music, which we all got. Everybody's got soul. It's kind of about how we share that. R&B is definitely not dead. I feel there's a lot of great music. It's just like where we was a time when people was asking, HAAWWS is like hip hop dead, and he was like, nah, you gotta source it. You gotta look for it. We're not going to stores no more to buy CDs. Spotify is a huge ass platform. It's meant for discovery. So what you saw there last Friday, you're not gonna see the same stuff next Friday. You kind of got to do the digging, and that forces people to be like, not just proactive, but not be lazy. If there's something you want to listen to, there's something you're interested in, or you want to hear more, or you want to hear something different, like, you got to do the work. You got to type in that space bar, type in a search bar, and like look, check for what you're looking for. I don't feel like R&B is dead. There's a lot of great R&B artists there, but I don't feel like people are checking for R&B specifically right now because we're in such a digital era. People are, you know, looking for something to kind of like give them energy. And I feel like R&B is in a space where it's not low vibrational right now, but it's more chill. We're moving into the winter season. R&B,
Cuffing season.
yeah, like you know, the music is gonna be different, especially from our favorite artists. So, but I feel like there's a lot of dope people, and there's a lot of new dope people too. But the sound of R&B is kind of changing because I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Steve Lacy, but like, a lot of stuff some people may consider him an alt artist, like an alternative artist, but a lot of what he does is R&B, and it's just like kind of what your perspective is on what you feel R&B is. But there's dope R&B out there.
Yeah, like Brent Fires too.
Yeah.
What was Yelena complaining about? She said R&B is now like all about toxic relationships. Do you care about that? I mean, I like it personally. I like toxic shit.
I mean, is the song good? Like that's what. Yeah, honestly, at the end of the day,
you don't care about the value, like the message.
I
the
mean,
morals of the song.
Only when like, well, I'm not gonna say only, but like if it's a complete lie or it's just like not true, then that's when it becomes an issue for me. But like the fact of the matter is that people deal with those things and on an everyday basis is a large part of society that is still dealing with toxic relationships, and they need people to not only relate to but to speak on some of the things that they're going through, because music is a utility. People live their life through music, and it kind of helps them throughout their day. So I think it can be beneficial. Are we perpetuating a little bit when people continuously put out this music? But like I said, does it sound good? If that shit slap, I'm gonna play it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but what about, all right, so what you said when artists are perpetuating some of, you know, certain things, like, so what about like the artists who would perpetuate a certain type of like lifestyle on music that they're not being honest about? Like, for instance, like we have artists like, I don't know, like,
You gotta keep it R&B though.
No, yeah,
Like,
R&B.
what if SZA wasn't
like,
really a side chick? What if she was like a main girl?
Yeah, what if she had like a man, like an actual man, and she's talking about doing all these wah-wah shits? Like, what would that say about the artist? What did that say about the character?
What I've been seeing recently, I'm a big Twitter head. Mostly I see it on Twitter. Is just like a large dialogue around, like, when are we going to start holding artists responsible for growing up? Like, how are you still talking this way in your music and you're such and such? So it's just like with time. Like, the greatest legacy acts, as they grew older, they weren't talking about the same things, but some of them were. If that's kind of your art and what you're known for, don't steer away from what works for you. If, like, that's what works for you and what makes you feel good, what's happy, and it's what helps you create, I would say don't steer away from that. Try to grow, obviously, but I feel like there's a time and a place for that. And even for the artists that kind of do get that toxic stamp, if you listen to their work, there's a balance. I feel like there's a balance, and I feel like they do get picked on a lot because the more popular records have the more, you know, salacious lines and salacious lyrics.
And it's society though, because society, like, they love toxic shit, man. Like, even the gladiator days, bro, like when people had to be thrown in an arena and fight to the death. Thousands of people, even kids, they're just like, yeah, rip his head off. You know, like all type of shit. And I feel like that's hip hop. It's like and it's sad to say, like, it's just like a gladiator arena where it's like only the tough can survive and whatnot. But, you know, that's like the competitive, like, that's the healthy competitiveness.
I feel that
in it.
I feel like a lot of times too, so R&B artists go through a lot of relationship stuff more than the average like rapper or hip hop artist. So like, I feel like that's why they have so much to pull from, and a lot of the situations and experiences probably are not the most positive. So that's why the music turns out to be the way that it is. And then, you know, you have those artists who really feel like, this is another part of that delusion, who feel like they have to re-enter themselves into certain spaces to be able to create certain music. So it's like, yo, if you got a hit, out of being in the worst time of your life. There's certain artists who will chase being in the worst period of their life again to be able to, because they think that's going to help them create what they created in the past. And it's just like,
sometimes that works.
but for how long? I mean, to a point where it drives you to either exhaustion or you feel like you can't grow into who you want to be. Because I mean, like, do you want a hit record, or like do you want to continue to grow to create like more hit records? And I feel like that's kind of when you play into that stigma of either your stuff sounds the same, or it's just like all you talk about is toxicity and you're this type of, But I feel like back to the balance point, you mentioned Brent, you mentioned SZA, perfect balance.
So are you saying, because you're like, oh, does it sound good? Are you saying that you can separate the art from the artist? Like, did you cancel R. Kelly, or do you still like sometimes bump him? Like, does it sound good? Because hell yeah, that shit sounds good.
Yo, yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not even that old to really have been bumping R. Kelly like that. So when they had made the decision, it was like, it wasn't really.
All right, so what about Tory Lanez? Like, if they found out that, all right, you definitely shot Megan Thee Stallion, would you be like, all right, I'm not listening to your shit? Or would you be like, that's kind of hard?
For the record, I still listen to R. Kelly.
Wait, you listen to R. Kelly?
I mean, not really, but some of the songs cross my
I
head.
decided not to be. Oh, yeah, that's what.
Is there a reason like why it's just like, okay, it's obvious you separate the art from the artist, but it's like, is there a reason why it's just like, nah, something about R. Kelly shit is just.
Well, I mean, what he did was despicable, but like, I don't think about that when I listen to his music.
But wait, hold on. So what about, all right. So what about the dude who said, I'm pushing P? What's his name? I forgot his name. You know what I'm talking about? Gunna. Yeah, Gunna. It's because like everybody loves Gunna, but he came out and admitted that he's basically they're saying that he's snitching. They're basically saying that he was with the organization YSL and claims that it's a gang and all that. So like now people are.
I mean, if you operating like that, there's a certain code that you should. I'm not saying you have to, but you should, just for the sake of the streets. But the homie tweeted the other day, the streets is done. So the way it's looking out here, the way it's looking out here, to be honest. Yeah. I couldn't tell you, but nah, definitely I don't approve of tattletelling. My grandmother taught me that early on. She don't do that shit.
Like, if you snitch, I'm disowning you.
Yeah, like nah, she's not a fan of that at all. Not in our household. But I mean, teach his own. Teach his own.
You were telling me that you're really big into fashion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't say that I'm really big into fashion now. I feel like I've more so this year, this fashion week, I've like been finding a sense of style and kind of what I want my style to be like. And I feel like I've been doing that over the past few years, but it wasn't until this year, fashion week, until I'm around that fly shit. I'm around like everywhere you turn. Niggas got that shit on.
Yeah.
It's women out there fly your shit on. Yeah. And it's like, okay, say less. I know how to come, I know how to return. So it's just like understanding that, talking to people, being honest, having conversations. Like, people were interested in what I was doing. And like being out there this week, I was running into a lot more people who are actually in the field, whether it be models or people who are on the back end. So just asking them, like, how'd you get your sense of style? Like, where has it been developed? Like, how do you kind of rebrand yourself over time? Is there certain things that you like? Is there certain things you look for? How do you shop? Like, I really ask because I care. And that's something else that I want to move into. Not, like, I'm not trying to be Sean John, have no Yeezy shit. But, like, I like to dress and put dope shit on. I'm really big into thrift these days. So, like, finding certain pieces.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
A little bit. Sometimes that should be dirty. So, that'll throw some shit like that'll throw me off. Bad customer service will throw me off. I'll walk out the establishment, to be honest with you. But
as you should.
Yeah, I feel like I've just been more so recently focusing on like what my style is going to be moving forward and kind of like what I like and stuff like that. So it's been having me ask more questions and getting more interested into fashion and asking people who are in the space different things and trying to learn more.
Does that mean that like fashion shows, like doing fashion shows or going to all fashion shows, is like in your future?
I'll definitely, if Fashion Week is for sure in the future, continue to go. Do I see myself on a runway? Probably not. Mm-hmm. It's a little superficial for me.
Superficial?
Yeah, kind of just like the...
all you're doing is modeling things, and then you're like, oh, wow, that looks nice. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it's just something about when they're on the runway, it doesn't look like they want to be there.
I think that's the model face.
Yeah, probably right.
It's like resting bitch face.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I could keep that straight of a face too. Like, I'll be honest, like I'd definitely be up there cheese, like you know. But I feel like if the opportunity presents itself and it made sense, but yeah, I could definitely see like maybe smaller performances, more intimate performances at maybe an after party or something like that. But for the most part, just kind of just vibing out. I kind of like to go and experience, especially when I'm stepping into like other spaces where there are other creators and artists. I kind of just like to learn and kind of just enjoy myself, opposed to like always trying to be super involved and shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just vibe out.
And you came to our event, did you?
Yes.
Was there anything that like any conversations or topics that you that stood out to you?
Yeah, there was a lot. I'd be lying if I could like to tell you exactly which one, because I can't remember. It was definitely a while ago, but there was just more so the dialogue, and like we spoke about this off camera, the dialogue of like the conversation that was being created, the questions that were being posed, and how there was engagement from both sides, male and female. It wasn't more so just one and the other, because a lot of spaces like that, the opportunity to present itself to share, but people on either end, somebody will be quiet. So either there's way too many men speaking up and not enough women, or there's way too many women and there ain't no man in the building gonna say anything.
That actually happened to us in our like first event. We had like people write the questions down, and then they were like, yo, why is this like everybody woman bashing? And we're like, oh fuck. And I was like, dude, we gotta incorporate some vagina on our team so like we can like so we can balance it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean I feel that. I feel like the women, especially for that event specifically, offered a lot of great insight for the males in attendance, especially given a lot of the women there that what their sexual orientation was. It was just it was just like conversations like that are necessary, especially the
bisexual one, like a bisexual man, like would you be
just all the conversations, and especially when there can be a lot of miscommunication and people don't know how to necessarily ask questions. We're in a time right now where people will just shame people's orientation, their preference. We have to be extremely particular about. So it's like the more we can learn and we can be comfortable in spaces like that, large spaces like that, is super important. And I think healthy for all of us, because it just helps the community grow. But people who get to watch the recap, they get to hear the stuff back and they get to hear what we talked about, and it kind of allows them to think and they carry that on. So I feel like just the snowball and the ripple effect that those events and conversations like that have are just so far way more important than anything that we could be doing. Is like, super dope. So kudos to you guys for that
appreciate
event.
it.
Yo, kudos to you for pulling up. I didn't even know he was in the cut, bro. It was so funny because, literally, after like I spazzed out, I went outside because I needed some air. I was chilling. You was to the left of me. I was like, yo. We was talking. Then that's when we was having a conversation. And all that, and I kid you not, this is literally what happened. This white lady, she came up to us, just like, "Hey guys," she was like, "Hey guys, I just got off work. Can I smoke with y'all?" And I'm like, I don't even smoke.
Yeah.
I don't smoke.
Someone definitely came up after a long day.
Yo, I'm gonna catch you later, bro. And I did that. I went back inside.
Definitely got up out of there. That was a good night. It was a good night to say the least.
Hell yeah. Is there anything that you want to leave us off with, or anything that you want to let people know that you're working on, or?
Let people know I'm working on music. It's always music. Not safe for work. The deluxe very soon. Very soon. 2023 is looking very spooky, but it's looking good though. I don't really feel like I have anything to leave off with more than like I'm just really glad the space is where it's at now. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for everybody out there doing their thing. Thank you for having me on the podcast. Again, congratulations on the nomination.
Congratulations on you too.
Well. And yeah, man, like I'm just so much looking forward to 2023 in the community and what we're gonna do at large. And I'm just hoping everybody is as excited as I am. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hopefully we don't get another coronavirus. But give us the
not.
drops. Where do we find you?
HAAWWS on all platforms. Everywhere you have cellular service or Wi-Fi. That's HAAWWS. HAAWWS. And Not Safe for Work is streaming now on every single digital streaming platform known to mankind. And the shit is getting added to stores that they're building right now. Ooh. So if you don't like any of the streaming platforms that are already out, when some new shit is available, download it, go type in NSFW and stream the project.
Tim's is fire too.
Tim's is fire too. You heard it here first.
Show and Tell Boston After Dark, and that's a wrap.